It's often the case that politics is dysfunctional and isn't solving our problems. I've said here before, change comes last to Washington, not first. Culture must change before politics does. It's not often that you see it, though, displayed as starkly as we see it now in this week. A storm reveals the irony and dysfunction of our politics. The issue is whether these things will be, to use a religious term, epiphanies for us or not. Converting moments, things that cause us to change our minds, our hearts, our values, and our habits. When I gave this lecture last year, I told the story of a trip I had just taken to the Gulf, where the Sierra Club had invited many of us as faith leaders to go and see the result of the spill in the Gulf, the BP crisis. So I was on fishing boats with fishermen who were out of work. They had nothing to do, so they were hired to take us out to see what the spill had done. So I was on a boat with a rabbi, a Catholic priest, some denominational leaders, and a CNN film crew that was filming the entire trip and the story. Beautiful day, and I could see why these fishermen love their way of life. Kevin was our captain. He'd fished those waters for 30 years. He learned to navigate the bayous, estuaries from his father, who in turn learned it from his father. And now his 8-year-old daughter wanted to be a fisher person as well, to follow in her father's footsteps. And we left the shore, left the dock. He said, "You can see why I love this job. It's different every day. It looks different. It feels different." And the captain, as we went out to sea, the captain, Kevin, was the first to smell it. He told us the ocean didn't used to smell this way, but being an urban kid, I didn't smell it right away. But then we all smelled it. Then we traveled further out in the choppy waters. It finally came into view. Oil coating the grasses and clinging to the edges of the water and the land. I asked what all this oil would do to this place. He said, well, it will kill everything that lived here before. And he said, if we didn't have hope, we wouldn't have anything. So we hold on to hope. And he told us what would happen if this continued. A reporter asked me if this was a disaster, if this disaster was an act of God. I said, no, it's a result of human folly. If you think the people who are here are sad at what's happened, imagine how sad the Creator must be, who gave us this natural beauty as a gift for us to steward. If you think those who've lost jobs are mad, imagine how angry God must be, who gave us the job of taking care of this creation like we weren't doing anymore. And I raised that story because while I was down there and while we were seeing all that was happening, talking to the people, talking to fishermen who would provide seafood to all of us for years, who now were standing in line at food banks, hoping they'd be given a bag of groceries to feed their families. People who had no future, no sense that they would have a future. When we were down there, a very mediocre bill, I mean very mediocre energy bill, was being debated in the Congress. John Kerry put forward the bill. I was at the launch of the bill along with a few other religious leaders. The bill was defeated, didn't pass, while we were down there on the Gulf. During this crisis, during this BP crisis, during all the coverage, during this epiphany which I thought the nation might have, they defeated a very mediocre, inadequate energy bill in the U.S. Congress. And as Alicia will tell you more next week, all the environmental groups decided that we didn't have the wherewithal to pass any change in our energy policy. So now they're all going for grassroots strategies to change hearts and minds of people, to change constituencies, to change the culture.